Good evening.
Good evening, Swamiji.
Good evening and welcome after quite some time. I see Mrs. Mukherjee is traveling. You have to unmute. You have to unmute.
Pranam Maharaj. Good morning.
Yes. Namaste.
Morning, Maharaj, and good evening.
Yes, we are
we are
traveling.
driving, but as long as I get the connection, I'll try to attend the class.
Good. Very good. This is the first time someone is, attending the class while in the move. Very good.
Adventurous. It's nice.
Yes. As long as you can get the connection, yes.
As long as I get the connection, yes.
So you are traveling by car?
Yes, Maharaj. Just crossing Ghatshila, near Ghatshila now.
Exactly, that is what I was going to ask. Have you crossed Ghatshila or not? All right. Yes, everybody, welcome everybody. Good evening after quite some time. I hope all of you had good time. I personally had wonderful time during this summer vacation. I did some meaningful things and also traveled to some places. Yes, Barbara, good evening. Yes. All right, so let's start. After more than 1.5 months, I hope you have not forgotten everything. So that is why we shall have a review, brief review of what we have studied so far, so that we are back again. We are back again to our text. Okay, so this will be a brief review today of what we have studied so far, and then probably we shall discuss one new aphorism. New aphorism. Six. Okay. Are you good to start? Today we shall, I have written you in the email, today we shall chant Shiva Manasa Puja together once again, because it has been quite some time that we chanted it together. Then from next class, we shall take up a new hymn, and I have thought of Durga Suktam, a hymn on Mother Durga, which is a Vedic hymn, Vedic. So it will have its intonations, that is the lower, the middle, the higher. As we chanted the peace chants, you remember, intonation, the lower tone, the middle tone, the higher tone, up and down. So that Durga Suktam, which is found in one of the Vedas, we shall learn to chant Durga Suktam, because Durga Puja is approaching and it will be good tribute to Mother Durga. Okay. So let's start with chanting Shiva Manasa Puja. Okay, so what we shall do for your recollection, the first paragraph or first stanza will be call and response. Then 2, 3, and 4, second, third, and fourth stanza, we shall chant along. And as the fifth stanza is set in different tune, that one we shall again do in call and response. Okay, so let's start with this one. This will be call and response. Ratnai kalpitam asanam. Ratnai kalpitam asanam. Himajalai. Himajalai. Snanam cha divyambaram. Snanam cha divyambaram. Nanaratna vibhushitam. Nanaratna vibhushitam. Mrigamada. Mrigamada. Modam kitam chandanam. Modam kitam chandanam. Jati champaka villa patra rachitam. Jati champaka villa patra rachitam. Pushpam cha dhupam tatha. Pushpam cha dhupam tatha. Deepam devadanidhe. Deepam devadanidhe. Pashupate. Pashupate. Ritkalpitam grihatam. Ritkalpitam grihatam. Now chant along. Sauvarne navaratna khanda rachite. Patre ghritam payasam. Bhaksham panchavidham payo dadhiyutam. Rambha phalam panakam. Shakanam ayutam jalam ruchikaram. Karpura khandojwalam. Tambulam manasa maya virachitam. Bhaktya prabho sikuru. Chhatram chamarayor yugam. Vyajanakam. Chadarshakam nirmalam. Veena bhedi midangaka halakala. Geetam cha nittam tatha. Shastangam pranati stutir bahubidha. Hetat samastam maya. Sankalpena samarpitam. Taba vibho. Pujam grihana prabho. Atma tvam girijamati sahachara. Prana shariram griham. Pujate vishayopabhoga rachana. Nidra samadhisthitihi. Sanchara padayo pradakshana vidhihi. Stotrani sarva giro. Yat yat karma karomi tat tatakhilam. Sambhotavaradhanam. Yat yat karma karomi tat tatakhilam. Sambhotavaradhanam. This will be call and response. Karacharana Pritambak, Karacharana Pritambak, Kayajam, Kayajam, Karmajamba, Karmajamba, Shravananayana Jamba, Shravananayana Jamba, Manasamba Paradham, Manasamba Paradham, Bihitama Bihitamba, Bihitama Bihitamba, Sarvam etat shamasva, Sarvam etat shamasva, Jaya Jaya Karunabdhe, Jaya Jaya Karunabdhe, Shri Mahadeva Shambho, Shri Mahadeva Shambho. Now, if you remember, I told at the beginning, before we started learning this chant, that I said there are two versions of this chant. The one is what we learned is the most popular version. There is another version. We don't have to learn it. I just wanted to give you a glimpse of that version. The first stanza of that in a different tune. It goes like this. Ratanai kalpitamasanam himajalai snanam cha divyambaram nanaratna vibhushitam mrigamada modam kitam chandanam jati champaka billapatra rachitam pushpam cha dhupam tatha deepam devadayanidhe Pashupate Ritkalpitam Grihatam Deepam Devadayanidhe Pashupate Ritkalpitam Grihatam. This goes like for the next three stanzas, and the fifth one is the common, that is the way we learn to chant it. So these two versions of the chant. Now to our text. So we are studying Narada Bhakti Sutra, a text on divine love. Bhakti, the word has come from the root bhaj, which means to love, to adore, to worship, or to serve. And throughout the text, the bhakti, there are two meanings of the bhakti. That is, there are two types of bhakti. One is bhakti as the goal, bhakti as the means. Bhakti the goal and bhakti the path. One is called the para bhakti. Para means supreme, and gauni, the secondary, or that is preparatory. They are also called the spontaneous bhakti and prescriptive bhakti. And that text starts with definition of para bhakti. We know that there are 84 aphorisms in the text. We have studied so far 28 aphorisms. And first 24 aphorism deals with para bhakti sarupam, that is nature of para bhakti, 1 to 24. What is para bhakti? Then second section, which is aphorism 25 to aphorism 33 is why the path of bhakti is superior. And we are now here in this section, why the path of bhakti is superior. We started and we read 4 aphorisms, 25, 26, 27, 28. So first, what is bhakti? Aphorism 1 to 6 deal with definition and meaning of para bhakti. Aphorism 2 says, bhakti is, however, of the nature of supreme love in this. So supreme, not only quantitatively, that is not only this divine love is more intense than ordinary love, but qualitatively too, that is different from ordinary love, altogether different from ordinary love. That is difference not only in degree, but difference also of kind. And the word, it is of the nature of, it has been used to indicate that in fact what this para bhakti is cannot be expressed in words. It is ineffable, an experience. Still, Narada is trying to define us or trying to give us some pointers so that we can intuit about para bhakti. And in this means Narada does not say bhakti is supreme love to God. Rather, he says supreme love in this. We saw in this is a very universal definition of God without naming any particular deity. It is a very universal definition of God. And also in this means, in this may also refer to God is here and now. In this, that is, God is proximate. Then it says bhakti is of the nature of immortality, amrita sarupa. And we saw immortality, amrita, has got, can have 5 meanings, 5 connotations. One sense is undying. That is, once we have this para bhakti, this love, that love does not have any end, does not have any ups and downs. Then immortality also means ambrosia, that is nectar, very sweet. Even a tinge of that love is sufficient to fill our heart. Amrita also may mean final release, that is going beyond all sufferings. Amrita also might mean grace, that is para bhakti or ecstatic love for God is possible only through divine grace. But again, it might also mean self-effort, that is divine grace descends on them who are trying to go near God. This could be 5 meanings of the word immortality, amrita sarupa cha, aphorism number 3. Then aphorism 4, 5, and 6 mention the fruits of para bhakti, the promise of para bhakti. What happens to one when para bhakti has dawned into that person's heart? We can see it says that after attaining that parabhakti, one becomes siddho, that is fulfilled in the sense they have reached. Siddha, you may remember in Aparakshanabhuti we studied, siddha means one who has reached the goal. Siddha, that is fulfilled, their life's mission is fulfilled. Then amrito bhavati, that is they transcend fear of death. They no longer fear death because they get established to the idea that they are not this limited body and mind. Death of body and mind is not death of self. They transcend fear of death. Then tripto bhavati, they become satisfied. That is, they feel like we have enough. We don't need anything more. Then na banchati, they transcend desire. They don't desire anything else except the basic needs, that is we need for our livelihood, and the desire to serve God in others, the desire to have communion with God. Apart from that, other desires just fall off from their mind. They na shochati, they transcend grief, because in every situation they see the hand of the God, divine work there. Therefore, they no longer grieve. They no longer grieve. They transcend hatred, na deshti, because whom to hate? All are, they see all as expressions of that same divine. That's why they no longer have harbored any hatred to anybody. Then na ramate, they do not indulge in sensual pleasure because they have got the taste of a higher pleasure or higher joy, in comparison with which other sensual pleasures seem to be very paltry. So they no longer indulge in sensual pleasure. Then na utsahi bhavati, they do not exert themselves anymore for selfish accomplishments. For their own accomplishments, they no longer exert themselves, their energy, their time, they no longer spend in personal or selfish accomplishments. Then they become intoxicated. Matto bhavati, like a bee which has drank honey. After tasting this divine love, which is so sweet, they as it were becomes intoxicated with this love. And we see in the life of great lover of God, they sometimes appear to be crazy people, mad. Then stabdho bhavati, they become still. This stillness is outer as well as inner. Outer in the sense that abruptly or suddenly they can become absorbed in divine thought, and they may appear to be just dead, still, as we see in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, which is called Sahaja Samadhi, easy Samadhi. An inner stillness in the sense that even when they are engaged in activities and things like that, they have an stillness inside them because of their connection with this divine. That's why they are stabdho bhavati, they become still. And atma ramo bhavati, that is, they revel in the joy of Atman, the joy that is within. They discover the source of inner joy. These are the 11 promises of Parabhakti, this spontaneous, ecstatic love for God. Then aphorism 7 to 14 discussed one aspect of this Parabhakti, that is one-pointedness, one-pointed love for God. So it said that Parabhakti is not driven by desires. It is rather antidote of all desires. With the dawn of such bhakti, all activities are then centered in God, revolve around God. Such a devotee has one-pointed devotion to God. For other things then become secondary to such devotees. And moreover, for everything, they are dependent on God alone. And help that they get from others, they see that those helps are also coming from God through different people, different events, or different channels. Although such a devotee transcends the need to follow religious and social conventions, they still follow them for setting examples for others. In worldly affairs, they engage themselves only that much which is absolutely necessary, and they do not neglect their health, rather maintain their health as long as the body lasts, so that they can love and serve God. These were the main topics from Aphorism 7 to 14, which is one-pointedness, one-pointed love for God, or consecration of all activities to God, depending only on God. Aphorisms 15 to 24 were about various characteristics and examples of Parabhakti. As we noted that when devotees try to express the characteristics of that ineffable experience, there arises different forms and styles of bhakti. Although there is no difference in opinion about the essential nature of bhakti, which is the nature of ecstatic love for God, but how bhakti manifests or expresses itself in the life of different devotees, that may differ. That was Aphorism 15. And we saw that in different devotees of highest order, that divine love got expressed through different forms or different means. For some, it got expressed through poetry, like Rumi, devotional songs like Mirabai, then engagement in loving meditation like Ramanuja, singing and dancing like Chaitanya, Sri Ramakrishna, constant thought on one's real nature, Acharya Shankara. So, same bhakti might express in different ways in the life of the devotees. Narada takes the example or takes the opinion of three great sages. What those great sages think that the signs of true bhakti are. First, he takes the opinion of Vyasa. Vyasa says, love for doing puja and other such devotional activities are sure signs of Parabhakti. We saw puja is a wonderful ritualistic thing, which is a confluence of non-dualism and dualism. There, the worshipper first becomes one with God, which is non-dualism. Then they again separate themselves from the deity and treat the deity as a loving, adorable guest, that is puja. And other such devotional activities. Other such devotional activities might mean fire ceremony, vesper, then mental worship, then karma yoga, doing all the action as an offering to God, etc., etc. But common to all of them is a sense of reverence and offering, a sense of reverence and a sense of offering or consecration. So Vyasa thinks that love for puja and other such activities is a sure sign of Parabhakti. Aphorism 17, we see that Narada takes up the view of Gargo. Gargo, another sage. Gargo says that Bhakti is love for hearing divine play. That is Katha. Katha means narrations or stories or songs about the pastime, divine play of divine incarnations or saints or great devotees of love, the activities of their lifetime. We know that we love to talk and think about the people we love. So familiarity is a great factor for our liking someone. By narrating, listening, reading the stories of divine personalities, we start developing love for them. There are so many examples of devotees who kept themselves engaged about narrating or singing or chanting or listening to this divine play or pastime of divine personalities. For example, Mirabai about Sri Krishna, Saint Paul about Jesus Christ, Tulsidas about Sri Rama, and Narada himself about Narayana, Vishnu. So according to Garga, immense joy in hearing, reading, talking, singing, or contemplating divine pastime is a sure sign of supreme devotion, Parabhakti. If we notice these things, that if someone is finding supreme joy, immense joy in these activities, then we have to infer that that person has got Parabhakti, supreme devotion. Then aphorism 18 was about sage Shandilya. Shandilya says that bhakti is unbroken absorption in the bliss of Atman, Atma, self within, in the divine presence within, and continuous absorption in that within that divine presence, a constant sense of inner freedom, a spontaneity, a lightness. That is what is a sign of Parabhakti according to Shandilya. And we noted that aphorism 16, 17, 18 have a pattern. Puja is physical activities, it's bodily activities. Katha, listening, speaking, is more related to bachika or verbal. And atmarati, absorption in the indwelling divine presence, is mostly manasik or mental. So total engagement with all the three faculties is best for a devotee. Then, after citing them, these three sages, Narada presents his own views. Narada says, Bhakti is surrendering all actions to God and intense anguish upon not remembering God. All actions, whether it is physical, verbal, mental, and they will be spontaneously dedicated. The devotee will feel that whatever I am doing, whatever I am saying, all are dedicated to God. As we chanted today, yat yat karmo karomi tat tat akhilam shambho tabo aradhanam. Whatever I am doing, it is just your worship. So such a feeling will be spontaneous for a great devotee. And another sign is intense anguish. If the devotee at all forgets God, they feel intense anguish. These are the two sure signs of parabhakti according to Narada. And one thing to notice is dedication of all actions or surrendering all actions to God. This theme was also discussed in Aphorisms 8, 9, 10, and 11. So it appears Narada is firm about this point, that dedication, consecration, surrender to God, and dedication of all activities, consecration of all activities to God is the expression of parabhakti. Then Narada says there is example of such and such devotion. And we know the examples: Chaitanya, Mirabai, Saint Teresa of Avila, Saint John of the Cross, and so many. But he takes the example of the gopis, the milkmaids of Vrindavan. He says, just as was exemplified by the gopis of the Braja, that is gopis, milkmaids of the Vrindavan. And we saw a few examples how the gopis' mind was always fixed on Krishna. Whatever they were doing, whatever they were thinking, all used to revolve, center around Krishna. And they felt intense anguish if they forgot Krishna. They felt intense anguish. So these two signs were present in the gopis, which according to Narada are the true signs of parabhakti. In Aphorisms 22, 23, and 24, Narada, anticipating that some people might object to Gopi's love for Sri Krishna, thinking it is just an ordinary love, he sets out to refute this objection. He says that one might say that Gopis loved Sri Krishna only as a human being. But he says that contention does not hold good. Gopis were aware of Sri Krishna's divine stature, divine nature, but it was not uppermost in their mind. That awareness could not overpower their sweet relationship with Sri Krishna. If they had not forgotten from time to time about Sri Krishna's divine nature, the sense of awe and reverence would have interfered with their sweet love, sweet relationship with Sri Krishna. Then Narada says, had there not been that awareness at all, then their love would have been just like any other love we know about. In ordinary love, there is one thing missing. What is missing? Happiness. Only in the happiness of the beloved. Happiness only in the happiness of the beloved. But in the case of the gopis, we find that gopis were always mindful about Sri Krishna's happiness alone, irrespective of their own happiness. So, Gopi's love for Sri Krishna is a perfect example of what Para Bhakti is, according to Narada. So that was the first section we had studied, aphorism 1 to 24. Then we came to the next section of the text, why Bhakti is superior. Aphorism 25 to 33. And we so far studied 4 aphorisms, which are like this. Aphorism 25 said, Para Bhakti is superior to all the yogas. All the yogas means the yoga of Jnana, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Raja Yoga, or even it is superior to Bhakti Yoga. Why? Next aphorism it says, because it is the fruit or goal. So Para Bhakti, being the goal, being the summit, is greater than the path. But again, he uses one word, phalarupatvat. It is not exactly the fruit of Bhakti Yoga. Why? Because in other paths or in other yogas, the goal, the summit is different in nature from the path. For example, the goal of Raja Yoga, path of meditation, is what? Kaivalya, aloneness, when there will be no thought wave in the mind at all. Then we shall be our true self. This is the goal of Raja Yoga. But the practices are what we know, 8-fold practices, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama. So there is a difference in kind between the goal and the path. But in Bhakti, the goal is not altogether different from the path. The difference is only in degree. The path also consists of loving God, and the goal is loving God spontaneously and in an ecstatic manner. In Bhakti, then he says, another reason why Bhakti is superior, in Bhakti, devotional surrender is the main practice. Devotional surrender is the main practice. Through devotional surrender, unripe ego, the ego that identified itself with our worldly existence, that unripe ego is attenuated and humility is achieved. This humility and reduction of unripe ego bring devotee closer to God. Bring devotee closer to God easily than any other path. So, Bhakti is superior to other paths. And as we noted, that it is Narada's viewpoint. According to Narada's viewpoint, Bhakti is superior to all paths. And for a Bhakta, it is good to think that my path is the best path for me, and somebody else is following some other path that might be best for them. So it is good to have conviction in one's superiority of one's own path, that it is best path for me. There is nothing wrong about it. Secondly, it's a viewpoint and it's a Bhakti text. Definitely it will try to establish the superiority of Bhakti Yoga, but we shall take everything. Then in aphorism 28, he said, the followers of Jnana Yoga say that through Jnana Yoga alone, one can attain Para Bhakti. They say that unless one has become one with God, one's love is not complete. Becoming one with God is possible through Jnana Yoga alone. That is what the followers of Jnana Yoga say. Okay, so up to this we had seen beforehand. In this recap, do you have any question? Okay, I see a few questions. Yes, your question, 3 kinds of bhakti: unselfish, reciprocal, and ordinary. These are classifications according to, I think, Bhagavatam. I am not sure about that. So if we get a chance to, we shall see that. Narada, however, will differentiate this or classify the Gauni Bhakti, prescriptive bhaktis, in 6 types that we shall see later on. Okay, Sattik, Rajasic, Tamasic, and also there is another way he oh yes, Artha Artharthi Jiggashu. Okay, that we shall see later on. All right. So this was a brief review of what we have studied so far. Okay. Next, we shall take up the next aphorism, aphorism 29. Okay. So aphorism 29 says, Annanyo ashrayatvam iti anne. So let's chant it. Let's repeat it. Annanyo ashrayatvam iti anne. Again. Annyanno ashrayatvam iti anne. So this is anne iti annyanno ashrayatvam. Anne means some. Iti, say that. Annyanno. Annyanno means mutually. They are mutually ashrayatvam, complementary. They are mutually complementary. Some say that they are mutually complementary. They means so some Narada does not say who, but he says some say that they are mutually complementary. So they means Jnana and Bhakti, but not Jnana the fruit or Bhakti a fruit. That is not the culmination of Jnana or culmination of Bhakti, but they means here Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. They are mutually complementary. That is, one helps the other. Jnana Yoga helps in Bhakti Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga helps in Jnana Yoga. How Jnana Yoga helps in Bhakti Yoga? So, Jnana Yoga, the path of Jnana Yoga, the path of Jnana, has chiefly the practice of Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. But it has got also auxiliary practices, the fourfold practices, right? Fourfold practices. we have studied again and again. So what happens is fourfold practices help to withdraw the mind from external engagement and focus it to the permanent, nitya, nityanetya, right? The permanent one, the eternal one. Such a focused mind can be applied to devotional practices. Again, Shramana Manana Nididhyasana helps us to dwell on spirit. Because you hear about spirit or self, then reason it out and dwell on self or spirit or Atman or Brahman. And who is God? God is manifested form of Atman. So after dwelling on the spirit, what we do, we connect with the same spirit with our emotions, with our emotional being, with our feelings, and that is Bhakti Yoga. That is how Jnana Yoga is a great help for Bhakti Yoga. Anybody who is practicing Jnana Yoga or advance a bit in Jnana Yoga will find it easier to also practice Bhakti Yoga, because their mind, they have learned how to withdraw the mind and fix it, dwell it on the permanent or Atman. Then with that Atman, they can connect with their feelings, their emotions as the manifested form of God. With the same spirit having a form is God, and connect that with that spirit with feeling is Bhakti Yoga. This is how Jnana Yoga helps in Bhakti Yoga. How Bhakti Yoga helps in Jnana Yoga? With Bhakti Yoga practices, mind becomes gradually subtle. This is what we find in every spiritual aspirant, that with spiritual practices, with the practice of Bhakti Yoga, their mind becomes gradually subtle. It becomes sensitive to spiritual ideas. It becomes sensitive to spiritual suggestions. With such a subtle and spiritually oriented mind, practice of Shravana, Manana, Nidhyasana become easier. That is why Shankaracharya will again and again speak the need of bhakti. Bhakti makes the mind ready for Shravana, Manana, Nidhyasana. That is why we see in the stalwarts of spiritual life, Acharya Shankara, a Jnani, at the same time a great Bhakta. Chaitanya, a great Bhakta, but again a great Jnani in the sense of a great scholar of Advaita Vedanta. Sri Ramakrishna, a great devotee, at the same time a Jnani too. It is said about Sri Ramakrishna, he was a devotee outside, a Jnani inside. That is why he said that tie the knowledge of non-dual Vedanta at the corner of your cloth and do whatever you like. And we find that Swami Ishadhyanananda ji, his biographer, has analyzed this fact that to most of the people, his general prescription was practice bhakti coupled with jnana, jnana mishra bhakti. We see Swami Vivekananda, he is just opposite of Sri Ramakrishna, a devotee inside, a jnani outside. From outside, he will appear to be a jnani and sometimes might appear to be iconoclastic, but a great devotee of God. In our Ramakrishna order, our practice is bhakti coupled with jnana. No conflict between the two. And the esoteric spiritual practice that is taught in our order reflects also this principle in every step. If we just think about, mindful about, it is always mixture of jnana and bhakti. Every instruction, esoteric instruction for in our order for spiritual practices is a combination of jnana and bhakti. Jnana takes care of the intellectual queries that arise in the mind of devotees. Any devotee, no matter how much faith they might have, the doubts come, and these doubts come in the form of intellectual queries. Jnana yoga takes care of those intellectual queries, and bhakti connects the jnani with atman, with feelings. It is said that without jnana, bhakti might turn into mere sentimentalism without the backing of jnana, and without bhakti, jnana might turn into dry intellectualism. Without support of bhakti, jnana might turn into dry intellectualism. So they are mutually complementary. They help each other. My own experience is this, that when I, in the course of spiritual life, doubt comes that who is Sri Ramakrishna I am meditating on. Sometimes this type of thoughts come. Then Jnana Yoga comes to my help. Jnana Yoga tells me Sri Ramakrishna is my own inner being, my own Atma. And that is whom I am trying to meditate, trying to pray to. And again, when Sravana Nididhyasana sometimes appeared to be dry, then Atman appears to be an abstract, formless, qualityless idea. Bhakti comes to my help. Then I tell myself, Sri Ramakrishna is the Atman Upanishads are pointing to. Sri Ramakrishna is the Brahman that Upanishads are pointing to. I then connect emotionally with Sri Ramakrishna's image. So this is how Jnana and Bhakti help each other, complementary to each other. But this is not according to Narada. Narada say that some say that. In the next aphorism, Narada will place, or Narada will present his own view about this. Whether bhakti, whether jnana is means to bhakti, or whether jnana and bhakti are interdependent, mutually dependent or not. This will be aphorism 30. We shall look into that in our next class. So, summary of this aphorism 29 is the paths of Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga mutually help each other. This class is helping us develop bhakti, right? Because as humans, we are a combination of intellect and emotions, right? Any other question from anybody? Let me unmute you. Yes, you can unmute yourself and ask question if you have. It's good to see that Mrs. Mukherjee is still connected.
Yes, Maharaj, all through I got the signal.
Great. All right. So we shall see aphorism 30 in our next, and also I shall send the note for this aphorism, and also the synopsis that we did today, review. Okay, so it was a very mini review that I had to work on to make a mini review. So it is only for my own sake. So I shall send the notes and also send the text, transliterated text and meaning of Durga Suktam. Durga Suktam, hymn of Mother Durga, that we shall learn to chant from our next class. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I will take a 1 minute break before we go for the guided meditation. You are welcome, Betty. All right. Sit comfortably wherever you are sitting. Try to sit upright. But relaxed. With your shoulders very easy. Close your eyes. Try to feel the contact of your body with the chair, with the ground. Try to feel how your body and the chair are pressing against each other.